Hello, this video is not sponsored. I bought this Lego X-Men X-Mansion set for its retail price of $330 US on lego.com, and I built the 3,093 pieces that it comes with live over on Twitch. I will warn you that I am not an X-Men or Marvel scholar, so this will not be an encyclopedic dump of all the information on an X-Men or Marvel fandom page, any kind of wiki. If you're looking for a full list of all of the Easter eggs that are in this, every single one, check out the special post over on brickset.com that they did as an add-on to their review. Now, no hate, but while a lot of adult fans of Lego talk a lot about play value as if they're actually going to play with their sets for more than a few minutes after building them, maybe 10 or 15 of my viewers actually do that, and the vast majority stop right here, which is after setting up a scene, a nice action scene, and then just basically freezing it in time. And it's wonderful that this set accommodates that realistic adult play pattern and collector play pattern. It has so many extra pieces that are clear, and it has so many available studs on the outside as well as Technic bricks. You can see one just kind of hiding right under there that are exposed. Studs on the side that are exposed on structure. Plenty of places to connect things. They give you like 2 handfuls of bars and adapter pieces and things to do all this kind of stuff. And that's one of the best things that this does, because this looks exciting. This looks like stuff is actually going on. They also give you all these parts back here to set up damage to the base, where this Sentinel has damaged the place. And you can repair that. All the parts that are needed to make it clean are there if you want to set it up that way. But I mean, look at this. You can change the angles of all these things. This is really good planning, and it's a really good use of the part budget. And adding a little bit, I think, to the part budget, or at least stealing from major structure and possibly from figures a little bit, maybe figure accessories, to allow us to have fun with this and to make this space our own and to really be able to enjoy it for what it is, to make it lived in, to make it operated in, to have things not just on the most static display being like, hey, I'm a figure and I'm sitting here. No, I'm attacking this place. Speaking of which, there's an action feature actually built in here, and you activate it from around the back. So this is a lever, you push that down and you break open the rotunda, and you can have a figure there standing in the middle of the shockwave. With all the figures removed and most of the action-related stuff, obviously this is a much less interesting and exciting looking scene, but I think personally that it looks good. I think it looks pretty right. I really like the contrast between the dark orange and the dark blue, which is actually higher in contrast than the source material. It was very important for them to have some lawn in the front. Technically, it's too little lawn, but they needed to make it work with the street-based stuff as well. So compromises had to be made there, and I'm glad that they didn't give the building more space towards the front in this case, because that green really helps it and really helps to set the entire setting for the whole thing. And as I turn it around to the side, it still looks good. It starts to look a little bit squeezed in terms of its depth as you get farther around there and you see the height of it compared to its depth, but it's not too far off. Like, it just looks super deformed, not even super deformed, just partially deformed, like Lego minifigures themselves are. And it looks like a cool little miniature mansion, or school for minifigures. And interestingly, turning it around to the back here, this continues to look good. There's still plenty of detail back here, and a lot of that comes from the stickers, but part of it just from the physical design elements as well. But I do not like the gray on the right. There's a reason for the gray. We'll see it when we get to the interior. You can, if you need to, you can use your imagination to say that, well, it's just being worked on right now. It's under construction. There was some damage over there. It all kind of makes sense in universe that they had to reface this and repaint it. But it just stands out in a really bad way to me. It doesn't make sense. I don't know if we ever saw this particular view like that with 2 of the major walls stripped down like that in the anywhere in the media, whether comics or animations at all. And it just doesn't look right to me. It's purely a compromise they had to make to try to get more space on the interior where there already isn't enough. Really quickly making one more pass around the outside of the building before we get to the interior, just showing some small details that I didn't focus on when I had all the other stuff there. The 1963 is the reference to the start of the comics, of the X-Men comics. The little sign down here has a sticker on it. Oh, this is set up because there was a mistake on the Daily Bugle, had its offset incorrectly. So this allows you to connect to the Daily Bugle without having changed its spacing for its connectors, the Technic connectors there. I don't know how that got through all the quality checks that Lego has, but they're trying to make up for it here to allow you to still work with it, even if you've not modified your Daily Bugle to go with that. Over here, this is actually connected to the interior. There's a thing that does it, and you'll see that. Lots of references on the stickers back here, graffiti type stuff and things that have been pasted up. This is the Dazzler right there. At first I thought it was Deadpool. It's Dazzler. Inside of here, so frog reference, something that Lego does all the time. I'm actually glad that the dumpster is connected via this right here. That's supposed to stay connected to this, but I'm glad that it's not connected via studs. When they do it with studs, it's annoying because the studs will come off, but this is just a lot more reliable. This hat, some people have said it's Beast. Some people have said it's actually Logan's. I'm not sure which is correct. We got some bubble gum in there from Jubilee, the 5 Reichmark coin from Magneto, and a cutlass. Sorry, I don't know the reference again. Check Brickset for all of the references in here. The pyro on the exit, the fire exit door is a really nice touch. I don't know why I was extra tickled by that. A little bit of water down here. One of these packages has a Trask Industries logo on the side of it as a sticker. That's a little bit dark there. You got a suggestion of the basketball court here. Obviously, it's very easy for customizers to add to the back to give it a full court. This also is an action feature right here, the electrical box that's connected to something on the inside. We'll see that as well. Speaking of which, we're going to start looking at the interior. I'm going to start from the center and work my way out. So entrance first. The great news is you can easily take the upper floor off in thirds as just these individual whole sections, which makes it really convenient. Beyond that, you can also separate out the 3 16 by 32 base plates and everything that's attached to them, because they're connected just with long Technic axles going through the bases. And that makes it easier still to look at things from the sides through these side doors. What's nice about these small chunks is not only that you get more viewports to see the details, but it's just really convenient to hold all of this. If you really want to look at it, you can turn it towards the light. It's just, it's easy to grab this small little unit here. I love the suggestion of the rug there. The X logo is just absolutely perfect. They use the not yellow, but the flame yellowish orange color down there. And it just turned out really, really well. I like the little chairs, little lounge chairs. I can imagine them being very comfy and luxurious, even though the builds are actually simple. Little neoclassic space helmet used on the statue over there, and a vase or vase over there. Original class photo on that side. Photo of the opening when they were still buddies back then. Everything was still good. And you can see that this design of elevator is following the same style from the previous Marvel specific modulars. Now we're going to look at the section to the right. And this is a generic classroom, which has seating for 2 students on some nicely set up combined, classrooms, chairs with the small table off to the side. You got the little globe back there in the corner, and there's one stud to hold the feet of somebody who's doing some teaching. There's the blackboard right there, which has some references on it. You've got a screen up above and this AC unit outside that slides things back and forth. Well, this is what it slides. It slides the blackboard out of the way, and then you see a little bit of a screen behind there, but not a lot. So there's a sticker back there, but you can't see all of it once it's done. There's also a sticker on the back of the blackboard. You can swap that around, but you have to take some of this apart in order to get to that. It's just not convenient to access that. This whole thing has a number of Easter eggs that you can only see when you are building the set, or if you take it partially apart. I'm not going to take it partially apart. When you build it, if you buy it, you will see those, or you can see them in a full Easter egg breakdown like the one on Brickset, but it's just not part of the experience once it's done. You got the little travel brochure down there, which is surely Logan's as well. Oh, as is this sketch. And then the bookcase right there is done pretty nicely. Obviously, it's attached on the side, but it's very, very compact. Look at the depth of that, but it looks good. It definitely does its job. You get one book that has the stickers on it and a couple of studs in the hallway to have figures, walking back and forth. But, that's it. That's your entire hallway from the entrance to the one classroom is just there. And ultimately, it's very compact. You can get in there, but it's very compact. And then in context, if you're not pulling the whole thing apart, that's how that all comes together, which isn't bad. I like the transition there. It's, there's kind of a gradient going from the brown here to the medium nougats to the tan. These are needed. The archways are needed for strength and stability. But speaking of strength and stability, you see that with the only connections between these 16 stud sections being with these Technic axles, it's strong enough, even all put together, it's strong enough to hold it, but it starts to feel flimsy when you pick it up. Now let's come over to the left segment. Kind of blocking the middle of the sand blue colored floor here, but also giving you spots to optionally put a minifigure foot there, is a stack of newspapers with the reference to the Mutant Registration Act and the public vote for that. Got a TV screen up here, which is just a bit of continuity with the rest of the module, the other two modules that they've done so far, showing the same reporter. And the same reporter apparently has 3 arms, possibly more than that. So the revelation here is that this reporter is actually a mutant, which is why he is sweating about what's going on in the world right now. This looks like the door to Cerebro, which is odd because it's not. And you can see that this is what is controlled by the electrical box outside, because that slides to give you access to the danger room, or as my viewers have coined it, the danger closet. This is potentially one of the most exciting things in the set, especially to play with and to set up your figures with, but it is just tiny. Now, if you have just one figure who is in there going through a scenario, you can make it work. You can attach the anti-studs here to that little thing there that goes back and forth, or you can see that as being a pair of guns. You got all kinds of different things that come out from the walls, and each of these is its own separate little section that can be moved around. There are more as well that you'll see in just a minute. The rockets, the missiles, even spikes down at the base. But if you have a figure that has some accessories, now all of a sudden the entire room is filled. Actually, wow, yeah, that's gonna be, if I really wanted to have her in here, that's gonna be genuinely tricky. Yikes. Or, well, this one's a little bit easier, but still, you just don't have a whole lot of room to do much in there. Now I can switch to a wide angle lens and get my camera within 3 inches of the room and add some extra light from the outside and make it look real nice. But the reality, with a reasonable viewing angle and not all of the studio lighting set up to be absolutely optimized, just doesn't match the fantasy. But hold on though, what if I told you there's an easy way to double the size of the danger room with just the parts included in the set? Well, it's just part of the set. It's the second story. Remember, the gray on the outside goes all the way up one side wall as well as part of the back wall. That's just because they wanted to have as much space as possible for this danger room, which still is not enough space, but hey, building all those little traps and gadgets and things was cool, and each of the stickers in there is another little reference, but this honestly doesn't help that much because you can't use this space effectively. This is actually even harder to use up here. You can, of course, work on it like this, attach stands and things to the sides in here, brackets and adapters to get your figures to grab on to the sides and be flying around, but the amount of space that is here is very limited. You do have the observation room over there, and it's nice to see, like, everything looks right. It's just honestly too small. This has stickers for the console there, spot for a minifigure's, whoa, focus. Minifigure's foot to go right there, and a chessboard right there for a friendly game between a couple of old chums. Here's how things are looking right now. Honestly, being able to see it like this is enjoyable and really shows the true value that is here. The amount of stuff that you actually get, which is not just the exterior, it's very much the interior stuff, the design that went into it, the aesthetics of what's in there, and the stories that are behind it. This is nice, even if I have my issues with the amount of space for us as huge figures to access things and for the minifigures themselves. Next up, this little lab section. We can look at this by itself. The elevator is an instrument of imagination. Obviously, it's just a facade, as these always are. It doesn't actually work, but suggests that figures that are not capable of teleportation are still able to get between the bottom and upper floors. So you have an instrument over here with a couple of prints there. Down below is a cabinet with some VHS tapes. Only the top one of those is a print. The rest are just regular pieces. On the other side is a small suggestion of an MRI machine, which works. I mean, it doesn't actually work, but in this space and in the context, I think it's a good use of space, and you can put a figure on there and imagine them, actually going through a scan. Down below is an X-ray of Wolverine, a little in-joke with how the internal anatomy of minifigures must be. On the other side, cabinetry, got some files over here, petri dish, somebody's snacking in the lab like they're not supposed to, so you got a can of soda or canned juice perhaps over there, or maybe it's canned vitamin water, who knows. And then a cookie here down below, hypodermic needle. These things probably shouldn't go together, but it works for minifigs. A cerebro display is here. Okay, and then there's the helmet for it, and there's some information. There's some output and monitoring of it here. So this is where cerebro happens, which is awkward to me. It needed to be in here, but it's in the middle of the lab, right in front of the elevator shaft, and the door to cerebro is actually the door to the danger room. But in spite of all those oddities and compromises, you know what? That actually works. That actually works just fine for me. I don't have to suspend disbelief too much. I will accept that. I can definitely live with that. It's odd that it's in this, what really looks like more of a medical lab than anything, especially with the floor color, but with the display there and everything, probably should be like that. Yeah. And then you can open this up as well if you want to, just get a little bit better view. Yeah, not bad. And then in the context of the rest of the building, this goes right in the center. But wait, what if I told you you could increase the size of the lab for free with just the parts included in this set? It just has a little bit of extension. They did something different here. So the lab is the biggest room because it includes this little bit off to the side, which is very nice. Very nice detail there. I like that 100%. Custom sticker over here is good rather than using a print that was completely generic. And yeah, I like all the instruments on there. It's a great density of detail. There's spilled coffee there, and then the suggestion of the opened drawer even. That's nice. And then finally, a dorm room over here with a couple of beds. Obviously, you can do Sad Wolverine over there. A lot of controversy over whose sword this is. It could be many different ones. You go with whatever you believe. The designer has their own beliefs about that and is very non-committal about it. Jubilee is a resident here and yet is not in the set, just like Beast is a resident over here and is not in the set. That's unfortunate. The first ever X-Men comic, X-Men #1 on a tile, that's a 2x3 tile, that is valuable. That itself is collectible. It's too bad it's a sticker. If anything, I think if anything in this set should have been a print, it's that. That's just so golden right there. Really, really nice. A small in reference here, relatively obscure one. And you cannot open these up here. Oh, you got the Statue of Liberty as well for a little model of a final battle. These beds, they are tiny, but they look so good and they do accommodate figures. It's a really solid and smart use of space. And again, looking across the top of multiple rooms side by side is very satisfying. And the feeling of openness and the hallways going straight through is good, even if it's not accurate. I think that given the amount of space that is here, it's presented well for us as owners of the thing. And then finally, the roof segments are pretty durable and hold themselves together with one very small exception. So these are easy and no hassle to put on, the exception being just the dome of the rotunda here, because for the action feature, that's just intended to sit there. But this is one place where you can actually see one of the hidden Easter eggs just up under there. So Storm's Garden is suggested right there. You can actually see it, unlike some of the other things that are fully hidden away that require full-on disassembly of part of the set. And there you go. All right, the Sentinel is pretty big. Could be bigger, but big enough relative to minifigures, especially when you consider that minifigures themselves are not well proportioned whatsoever. I think that this works perfectly fine as an intimidating thing. I think it scales pretty well to the building, just display wise. And I did try to put this intentionally into pretty much the most extreme articulation that you can get out of the arms and legs front to back there, because it's well, yeah, that's about it. You're pretty much limited there. Obviously you can overextend back here, but as far as going forward, that's as far on the shoulders and also at the thighs. So this does have a good number of joints to articulate with, including the wrist there that you're able to move around, and you're able to open up and close the fingers individually, as well as put something into the palm, such as this robotic telescoping, extending hose manipulator thing, which you can use to grab a minifigure with accurately. And then this also has some waist articulation, which is good. You got the little steps along the way, and some neck articulation that's useful, not just turning, but also being able to go forward and back and side to side very, very slightly. I mean, this is really a barrel style of head. At least the printing there is not too bad. It shouldn't be too bad. I mean, it's pink on magenta. Those are already pretty close. This is a sticker right here in the center, but the shaping of the torso I think is all right. It's really unfortunate about the legs not being able to do much more than that. Realistically, I guess maybe if I could kind of get it on the toe, can I get more out of it? Yeah, okay, that works, but still it's just awkward. I don't even mind the fact that these joints are where they are, kind of at the top of the boot rather than being farther down, and also rather than being in the knee, but still the total, it's not about where it is, it's just the total amount of usable articulation. I guess it's okay. Also, these toes come off really easily. If you put any kind of pressure on it, that just pops off. So it's not the best, but all in all, I'm not going to complain too much about this in particular, because it does its job. It's intimidating. They even have this on the back where you can attach one of those connections, as we saw earlier on. You can attach different types of things to this. Plenty of opportunities, including on the sides here. So yeah, this does its job. Also right there, that stud is useful to put a figure on. Another built-up thing is the Professor's hover chair, which you already saw by now, but this looks good to me as an animated series version. I think it's just about as good as I could possibly ask for. Just a little bit of hovering, with the extension down there. Of course, you can put additional clear pieces beneath if you want to make it look like it's going over more tough terrain, so it's hovering a little bit higher. But I think this is just right. This just works correctly to me. And you already saw Wolverine's bike, which just has a handful of small pieces to customize it a little bit, but I still think it looks fine as it is. Judging from comments I've seen on the internet, I'm supposed to hate this head for Professor X, but I don't. I really don't. It could be better if they made a bespoke one for him. Obviously, that would be better, but this is acceptable enough as long as the minifigures in general are done well. His hover chair is done well. The reuse of the torso there is, it's a little bit, I don't know, it's not serious enough. And I really would have preferred just the green look for the animated series, kind of more iconic appearance for him there. Now, he has used blue suits plenty of times, but I would have preferred the green personally, not the right torso. Looking over here at Wolverine, this doesn't make sense to me. Why is it so much worse than the collectible minifigure series version? No printing for the arms, and that printing for the arms on the CMF one was so good. No dual molded legs, and really poor print. I don't know if you can see that as well as I can, but that bugs me. That print is like early 2000s, I don't know, maybe even late 90s prints when they were still trying to improve their techniques and they just weren't there yet when they're just starting to do more fancy stuff. But definitely not how it should be today, because this is how it should be today. Look at that. Look at how crisp that is. Look at how not crisp that is. Similar thing with the torso right here for Jean. That yellow print is just not good. And it's not like they can't do it. They've shown that they can do it. Look at Lego Friends minifigure or mini dolls. They're printed immaculately. There have been plenty of figures, especially from the collectible minifigures line, that have been made in China that are significantly better than what we're getting in this high-end set right now. I was specifically asked by my viewers to do a little swap when I was building this live on Twitch. I was specifically asked to do something that I did live, but to do it again here in the review. And that's this. So you can see terrible yellow there and terrible yellow there. Hey, it kind of matches. I just don't get it. When this was just done last year, this isn't perfect, but it's just so superior. And this costs so much less in comparison. So I don't understand. At least they do include the spare hairpiece for them. That's good. They should always do that. I like the graphic design work for Gambit, and I like how the Ninjago piece here has been used to have the action of the playing cards coming out. I don't like the fact that the playing cards are decorated with stickers, which means that he can't hold just one of these in his hand, at least legally, because it would do damage to the stickers themselves. I definitely would have expected those to be prints, but obviously it just wasn't in the cards. Oh, wow. I did not intend that in advance, but it works so terribly. It just wasn't in the cards for them to have prints for there, and that's just unfortunate. Let's take this off and look at a couple other figures with him. What they did for Cyclops is really, really clever, and it looks really good from most angles. It's too bad that you are able to see the red handle in his hand. If only they could have done a dual molded version of that, it would have been kind of perfect, but yeah, I'm very happy with how that turned out. In general, what I'm not happy with is the printing for any of these faces. Also, we get kind of weak printing right there for the legs, for the hip piece as well for Cyclops, unfortunately, and no printing around the side. I mean, that figure on the whole could have been done better. But most importantly, these faces, once again, being printed against a color that's not light, just hasn't turned out as well as it should. It's not the worst that Lego has done. It's better, and it's consistent. It's consistently meh. It's consistently not great. Definitely could have been worse. Definitely has been worse in the past. This orange color is amazing. It's the reddish orange color too. And underneath we get the alternate faces, which is good to get alternate faces for all of them. And again, with that consistency, like I said, I do like consistency. I just want them to continue to get back to where we know that they can be with actual opacity by striking with enough ink. If they need to do an additional strike, whatever is needed. We know that Lego can do really, really good prints. We must reject any time that they say it's just not possible. It'll hurt the bottom line too much. We are only making $2 billion profit per year. Poor little family company can't afford more ink. We cannot accept that when they've shown us so many times that they're perfectly capable of doing great prints, as are much, much smaller companies around the world. So while, again, the graphic design work here I think is fine, although this is lacking in the legs, the production still needs to be better. These three are pretty good. I like the amount of detail in the Bishop figure there, even though the yellow itself is once again pale against the dark blue. There's some orange in there that helps to break it up a little bit so it doesn't look so bad. Just overall level of detail. The built up weapon over here is pretty good. Iceman in the middle is one interpretation of him. They went with the white rather than going with a lot of, so more of the snow kind of look rather than going with the more crystalline icy look. And I think that's legitimate. And Magneto, I think, looks good. Should he have more detail? I'm not the right person to answer that. I just don't know the character and all of his variations well enough, but what I see with my own eyes versus what I've seen on screen, I'm good with this. It looks like a Lego-ified. It's not trying to be a fully realistic replica of a human being. It really looks like a Lego-ified superhero or supervillain. And I like the helmets. I like the printing on it. This is just very comfortable to me. If I can get these to turn all the way around, you got the rubber cape on there, which some people have a problem with. I don't. I think it works out nicely, and it makes it easy to also take this off because it's kind of doesn't have the full coverage all the way around. So you can just pull it straight off. Alternate faces for those two. And they did include a hairpiece for Magneto, which works well enough for him for a helmet off look. It's not the best. It might be the best that Lego has right now. I would like to see them eventually make a new hairpiece that's more compatible with them. Maybe not as much leaning into the Widow's Peak there. Having a little bit more tussling off to the side would be nice, a little bit longer, but it works well enough, I think, for the character. Maybe not necessarily for this exact version of him for the animated series, kind of, the 90s version. Also comes with the round steel plate for him to hover around on. And then Storm, yep, this is similar to me in level of resolution of Legoification to the Magneto, in the sense that there's not a whole lot of detail here, but it feels appropriate to me. It feels like a vibe. It feels like a style that is valid for Lego to use. I had to turn off one light to try to make sure this doesn't blow out too much with the white against white, but that yellow line around there adds so much to the figure, which is very nice. I think the graphic design work for the torso is good, and for the head as well. These having the angled piece right there for the lightning coming off the hands was smart, so she doesn't have to have her hands facing straight forward to get the blast coming up. It's just a little bit more confident and relaxed in that way. You do get the alternate face, which is nice, and you can easily flip this up to see the appropriate printing around the back, which just matches the style and level of detail from the front. And then a big set with a lot of small details leaves us with a lot of leftover pieces, which I always personally enjoy a lot. Not a lot of prints in there, but just good little parts. Also big is the sticker sheet. Yeah, it's a whole lot of detail to be covered in stickers, but also there's this sticker sheet. One white backed and one clear backed, and you can see a couple of these are clear backed and very, very large, which is kind of mean. It's good for color matching because you don't have to worry about that. Color matching from here was okay. It's not great. Should be better, but clear back, it brings its own issues in there, but they give you all these extra little details as well, extra things that you can add in to represent damage in different places. They're just completely optional. I like that. I know you want to see some of these size comparisons to help with the value discussion. This is $330 US on the left, $230 on the right. $330 versus $230. $330 versus $300, although in fairness, this has been discontinued for a while, and if it was on the market today, it would probably be between $350 and $380. But even at that, it's not just me, right? All right, let's be more fair. $330 on the left, $300 today. But JANG, it's not Lego's fault. It's because Disney. Well, how about this then? Disney Marvel versus Disney Marvel, $330 versus $350 US. This one after a $50 bump up in price as a mid-production run inflation adjustment. Over 600 more pieces over here and 15 more minifigures over here. I repeat, 15 more minifigures over here. Disney versus Disney. We're gonna need a bigger excuse. The $330 US price turns into 330 euros, 290 pounds UK, or $430 Canadian. Again, for 3,093 pieces here. And, well, I think you've heard my thoughts about value up to this point. I would be happy with this set right here at, let's say, $279.99 with the addition of Jubilee and Nightcrawler and Beast and Angel. And with all of the figures being roughly equivalent to the level of quality and completeness of the collectible minifigures, which, by the way, are very frequently still made primarily in low-wage countries. A lot of people have been starting to have that argument lately, and I want to be clear that Lego has been producing things in low-wage countries for quite a long time. Some of them with very good quality. And all in all, I think that the quality of the figures here is just not up to par. It's just not where it should be for the prices that we're paying, no matter what. Even if this was $280, even if this was $250, I would expect better quality and more completeness to the figures. That said, the building itself I don't have as many problems with the building as I thought I would. Yes, it is small, but if you take the price out of the equation and just look at this as a Lego X Mansion, it's okay. It's actually not bad at all for that. You know, a little bit lacking in depth here, and again, I don't like that gray here. But you know, as a play set and a mid-range display set, I think it works fine. The building itself, and then you add in all of these additional things that they have for posing the figures. That adds a lot of value to it. Really, really helps to elevate this as something to be proud of in your collection. So yeah, price obviously an issue. Minifigure quality, biggest issue for me, completely unexpected, because I'm not a minifig guy. I buy Lego for Lego, not for tiny little super deformed little robot toy people. You know, if I'm gonna spend $25 on that much plastic, I'm gonna spend it on a nice action figure to put on display that I'm going to be happy with. It's accurate and everything. I'm not going to spend it on some little super deformed things, you know, which are cute and good. Like, I like minifigures general for city stuff, for serious collecting. When it comes to Lego, it's all about this. It's all about the build. And thankfully, like I said, this is good. Of course, it could be bigger. Bigger would be better. Bigger would be more expensive. There were a lot of people who were out there asking for this to just cost more. Like, just take it back and bring it back to market costing a lot more. Make it $500, please. Are you kidding me? People are actually asking Lego to increase its prices to make more expensive items? What kind of bizarre world? Oh, that's the wrong universe. Wrong IP. Anyway, one last thing that I wanted, well, two last things I wanted to point out about this. First of all, I already showed you how the flimsiness of this when it's partially assembled. When it's fully assembled, this just doesn't feel good. It's okay. Nothing's going to break. You know, that guy fell off there, but nothing's going to break. There's enough strength here, but I don't like the feeling of that. The other thing is, for years, you've been seeing reviews of Lego sets, reviews published before the Lego sets are available to be purchased, that have been really, really hyping up the supposed fact that Lego has saved the world, has solved the ecological issues of today by switching to paper bags, which are actually plastic lined paper bags and not recyclable everywhere. Meanwhile, me over here buying sets in North America, at least, I haven't seen that happen yet. And here we are with a brand new set, brand new big set. And check out my paper bags. Look at all these paper bags I paid for. You know, it's a nice thing with Lego, at least, you know, they're responsible. At least, you know, they're saving the planet with all their paper bags. At least there's that. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope that this was of some value to you. Even if you disagree with my personal opinions about it, I hope that at least I have shown you some things that are, you know, of interest to you, and maybe give you a different perspective that helps you to come to your own conclusions. Thank you again. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.